I want to explain this grid behind me. The grid has a title, Think Like a Scientist, Train Like an Artist. That comes from the book that I wrote, How the River Cats Won. It's right here, Think Like a Scientist, Train Like an Artist. And underneath it, it says The Curse of Knowledge. So I've written two books. One was Green Light Hitting, and Green Light Hitting was really attractive for training young athletes because what it did is at its most basic core, it rewarded intent. It never penalized you for trying. And that's a really attractive message for people trying to break into the game of baseball. Baseball is such a game rooted in failure. What green light hitting really did at its core is it removed the fear and it created this bold, aggressive style of hitter, which I think was one of our biggest benefits to training hitters at Go Wags, green light hitting. So this idea and how the River Cats won, think like a scientist, train like an artist, it sort of ties into that, okay, and this idea of the curse of knowledge. So what I have is I have a grid behind me, and on the x-axis I have declarative knowledge and non-declarative knowledge. Okay, so what that means is not everything that we know we're able to communicate. Okay, so declarative is the ability to communicate, and non-declarative is I can't communicate, but I still know it. And we know this is true with baseball players. If you ever listen to Hall of Fame hitters talk sometimes, you'll question what they're saying. That's not how you do it. And that's true because how you do something, non-declarative, like you don't have to communicate while you're swinging the bat, you just have to be good at swinging the bat, is completely different than the ability to declare it. Okay, so we see this all the time in athletes. The ones that can do, the ones that can't do tend to explain. Okay, so we're going to create an axis where on this side, non-declarative knowledge, where you don't necessarily have the ability to communicate, but then declarative knowledge, the ability to communicate what it is you know. And then on the y-axis, we have correct and we have incorrect. So I also teach math. And one of the questions that I get sometimes is, Mr. Wagner, do I have to show my work? And I answer that as a baseball coach. And I tell people the way I coach math is the way I coach base running. If you are a really good base runner and you're going first to third and you're really, really good at that, why would I ask you to show me your work? I don't want to see your work. I just want you to do it. Just be good at it. Just go first to third. Don't look at me. You don't need me. You're really, really good at that. If you don't need me, don't use me. And the same is true with math. If you don't need me, don't use me. I don't need to see your work. Just go from A to B as fast as possible. Done. But if you aren't good at math, then I need to see what it is you're doing so I can help you. And that's what declarative knowledge is. It's if you aren't good at it, if you don't have the ability to produce it, then you need to show me. You need to be able to communicate so I can help you. All right, and in school, this book, How the River Cats Won, this is a baseball book, but I share a lot of my opinions on school also. And what I believe is true, much of the friction that exists in school can be communicated in this chart. So over here, right, if I break this down, if I draw this vertical line, over here is what teachers need to see to help students. We need evidence so we can help you. If we give you an assignment, we need you to give something back. Otherwise, we have no idea to help you. Now, in this grid up here, declarative, that would be evidence. You give me something. Correct. This is easy. All right, that is so easy. We don't even need to talk about it. Again, anyone can applaud doubles, and anyone can applaud 100%. Those are the people that get labeled good students, good athletes. Those are the people that we ask for work. You give us work. We tell you it's correct, and we move on. Life is good. And for many teachers, it's what they believe the experience of school should be, is I communicate to you, you give it back to me, I reward you with your correctness, and then we move on, okay? But anyone that's been in this profession for a long time knows that quadrant doesn't always exist. And the culture of schools hinges on how we treat those other three quadrants. Okay. So what we need to do is we absolutely 100% have to try like crazy to get students to cross this line, to get students to cross this vertical line. If they don't share what it is they know, we can't help them. Okay, so teachers, this quadrant right here, okay, this declarative incorrect, we have to really do a better job of thinking how we want to manage that quadrant. And that was the beauty of green light hitting. If you swung and missed, we applaud if your intent was right. Okay, because as Thomas Edison knows, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. We have got to start embracing people that enter this quadrant, because although this quadrant might be incorrect, at least it's not non-declarative. At least they're not sitting with their thoughts or their work and not sharing their stuff. So first and foremost, we have got to get them to cross that vertical line. We have got to get them over there. And once they're here, once they're in this incorrect quadrant, we've got a fighting chance to move them into the correct quadrant. But if they swing and miss and we punish them on a swing and a miss, many times the behavior is simple and it happens real quick, is they'll just not swing. They'll just slide back over here and they'll not swing. And then unfortunately what we do is we label them as not a good student. Okay, it would be so. There's a quote that I also love. It says, "No evidence of does not imply evidence of none." Okay, no evidence of does not imply evidence of none. And what does that mean? Well, that means you could be an incredible hitter, but if you never get in the batter's box, how am I going to know you're an incredible hitter? Okay, just because you don't show me you're not a great hitter doesn't mean you're not a great hitter. And I'm afraid that if we keep punishing this quadrant, what we'll do is we'll throw people back into this non-declarative state, and they will choose not to share stuff with us because they don't like us. Okay, and if you think I'm overstating that, adults do it every day and kids do it every day. They choose not to share things with us because they don't like the person on the other end. And that's the really challenging piece to this teacher-student puzzle is what do we do with the students that aren't in the easy quadrant? The first thing is we got to get them in this quadrant, and we've got to stop making them feel like everything they submit feels like incorrect. I mean, that's where the magic happens. The magic happens down in here, believe it or not. Okay, we want kids to fail. We want them to share what it is they're doing. We want to tell them they're wrong, and they keep trying, and they keep trying, and they keep trying. Because truth of it is, if they're getting it right, the question is not hard enough, right? Like these easy, we should be challenging them to get them down in here. This quadrant shouldn't even be a thing. If it's too easy, if we're giving them stuff and they're answering it too quickly and too easy, we should have them down in here. But students resist this quadrant like crazy because they feel punished. They don't have opportunities to shine. They get sent back over into this area, in this non-declarative. So they shut up. They don't engage in a conversation. They don't turn in assignments because of fear of being marked wrong. Okay, so Michael Jordan says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Exactly. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's non-declarative. Okay, we've got to cross that line. We've got to get them over here. Okay, and we've got to do a better job of managing these quadrants, because truth be told, we've got really, really good students that don't feel like sharing. They do not feel like submitting evidence, okay? And essentially what we find ourselves doing then is if they don't cross that line, if they don't share with us, we say, you didn't give me what I wanted, I'm going to give you a 0, okay? And essentially what we're doing is we are telling kids that they have a batting average of 0 when they never ever got in the batter's box. Okay, so our first challenge is to get them to cross that line. And then our second challenge might be to reconcile these two quadrants. Our best students ought to be well served spending time down here. And our lesser students have spent so much time down here, we've got to start letting them feel some success up in that quadrant too. And it's this delicate balance of how we manage it. But make no mistake, over here is where the teacher's world lives. And yet we've got really good students that sit over here and they are willfully choosing not to cross that line.